Well, we drove a long ways this morning. We had to get out of the wind, and the only way to get out of the wind was drive right through it and come up here. It's a northeast today. So we're up north of Garden Island. We're on Lake of the Woods. I think it's going to be worth the drive this morning, though. We're going to fish a flat up here. It's pretty loaded up with fish. Stay right where you're at. Fish head's coming up. Right when I set that thing down, just set it down. Sometimes these fish are just, you take this northeast wind I'm in, these fish are just laying low because it's a cold front. When they get in a situation like this, they're not running around. So sometimes you set that bottom bouncer down, right down there in those rocks, and that walleye's laying right there. And he might not have really chased this thing. He might have just seen it when I stopped it there. And all of a sudden it just hits the brakes and he says, oh geez, there's a quick meal. Look at that, that is a dynamite walleye. I gotta be a little careful there though. I got a couple extra hooks down there with this spinner rig, and last thing I wanna do is get myself hooked here. Let's get that guy unhooked. Look at that. That right there is what we're after today. It's a great Lake of the Woods walleye. Hey, I've got something really big to tell you too. We're out here today doing our last open water episode of the year of Fish Ed for the internet. And you know, we've been doing this now for 3 years, and it's amazing how fast this time goes by. But here's what we're gonna do. This is also gonna become a TV show. Now it's gonna be a different version. You're gonna get a lot more in-depth, a lot more time, because we got a half hour on TV, and it's gonna start this October 4th on Fox Sports North. So you're gonna be able to turn this thing on, you're gonna be able to watch it at 11 a.m. Saturday mornings, and we're gonna have 2 segments per show, and it's multi-species. So we're gonna go all over the Midwest, chasing different species, and really go in depth so that you know exactly how to catch them next time you get out on the water. Let's get this line back in and get us another one. Perch. We'll throw him in. That one right there snapped it again right when I set it down. I think that's one of the biggest keys some days, is just recognizing what they want and doing things differently until you figure out what it is they want. One of the things I figured out today is these fish, we're on a flat with some scattered rock, and these fish are laying right in the bottom by the scattered rock, and they don't want to come up far. Oh yeah, look at that one. That's a great eye right there. Look at that. But you can see how close I'm fishing to the bottom. I picked up some weeds there, picked up a little bit of everything, set that sinker right down in the rock, and that walleye was laying there. That's a fun fish to catch. Let me show you what I'm using here, because this is about as simple as it gets. And you know, people have been buying what I'm using forever. Yeah, fish. What a great walleye. That is just a lot of fun right there. Let's get this guy back in the water and I'll show you what I'm using. There he goes. He's in a hurry to get out of here. Little Joe spinners. They've been around forever, and that's what I'm using today. And what's neat about Little Joe spinners is they come in such a variety of configurations and colors. Now you can buy this thing right here in a floating version. You can buy it in a standard version like I'm using. You could buy it in a solid colored blade. You could buy it in hammered blades. But it's so simple to use. When you get this thing, it's all set to go. It's got the loop tied on the end right here. And all I do is clip it right onto that bottom bouncer. Once I tie that bottom bouncer on, just clip it right on there. I'm not worried about tying my own snells or doing anything like that, because ultimately this does everything I need it to do right here. All I'm doing is putting a crawler on there and sending it down. Now, one of the things that's really, really important, I was talking about it while we were bringing that fish in, is the fact that these fish don't seem to want to come up today. So therefore, I'm using one of the versions of this thing that does not lift up in the water. I don't have floats. So keep that in mind. There's 2 different times to use the floating version or this version, but Little Joe spinners, they've been just catching fish forever, and they still do today. He'll work for the dinner table. bunch of fish on the screen here. You know, we're fishing one of those areas right now that is just classic midsummer, late summer pattern. And what it is it's a kind of a flat, and right up here it gets shallower and it's all rock. And what's happened is there's little rock and rubble spread out all over this flat that I'm fishing, and these fish are spread out. But what you find is a lot of times they're really close to the rocks. Now there's another one on the screen right there, but these are really easy to find. And then what you want to do is just work these contour lines. And as long as you work these contour lines, you should be able to find fish. And this happens in all kinds of different depths at this time of the year. Just so happens the spot we're on right now is about 15 feet. Now there's a rock, and you can see the difference. And sitting right next to it, that might be a fish in there. I'm not sure. This is one of those times where I do that. Oh, that is a fish. You can see that's up right there. Simple as that. That was good hard. Well, that one was just sucking on the back end of that thing. Sometimes, I mean, you can tell when they come in and just drill it, that's when you want to set the hook pretty quick. But when they come in and you just feel that tap, tap, like that fish did, just give them a little bit. Go back with that rod tip with them. Oh yeah, that's a pretty decent fish here. Let's see what we got. Come on up here, buddy. Oh yeah, perfect eye to finish up our day with. Look at that. Spinner fishing. I don't know if there is an easier way to catch walleyes, because all said and done, it attracts them. They come from a distance. They just can't resist them. And it's really simple when you're doing it the way I was doing it today, just using these pre-tied Lindy Little Joe spinners. Just flip those things out, put them behind the bottom mouncer, and they're pretty doggone effective. That fish will go in the live well, and that'll wrap our day up. Hey, remember to check with us now on Fox Sports North, 11 o'clock on Saturday morning starting October 4th. We're going to do ice fishing, we're going to do open water, and we're going to do it for 26 weeks long. We're going to teach you exactly how to do it so that when you get out on the water, you can do the same thing we're doing today and what you're going to see on TV. I'm Jon Thelen. We'll catch you next time.